Spiritual growth and financial wealth are not at war with each other. They never were. That tension you feel, the one that tells you that wanting more money means you are compromising your values, or that being deeply spiritual means you should not care about abundance. That is not wisdom. That is a false choice that keeps genuinely good people small, underfunded, and unable to build the kind of legacy that actually serves the world. On the other side, the hustle culture version of wealth that 2026 keeps selling, the grind at all costs, the growth hacks, the shortcuts dressed up as strategy, that is not abundance either. That is the sacral chakra unguided, desire without direction, creative fire that burns through everything, including the person holding it. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in the ancient world and one of its most respected philosophers, lived this tension directly. He was criticized his entire life for being rich while preaching simplicity. And he answered his critics with something that changed how I think about money entirely. He said, "I do not regard a man as poor if the little which remains is enough for him." Wealth, to Seneca, was never the problem. What you let wealth do to your character was the problem. Today, we are building the framework that makes both possible. The Stoic approach to ethical abundance, grounded in the 4 cardinal virtues and aligned with the creative power of your sacral energy. Drop this in the comments before you keep watching. My desire for abundance is not a flaw, it is a force. And a force without direction is chaos. Say it before you hear the rest. Before we go further, a word on what this channel does. Seneca never worked with chakras. The Stoic tradition and the yogic tradition developed in completely different worlds with different frameworks and different languages. I am not claiming they are the same system. This channel places these traditions side by side and finds where they point to the same truth. In this video, both point to the same thing. Desire is not the enemy. Undisciplined desire is. And the discipline they each prescribe looks remarkably similar. The myth of the moral trade-off. The 2026 economy has produced 2 dominant narratives about wealth, and both of them are wrong. The first is the hustle culture narrative. Work more, want more, optimize everything. Sleep is for the weak. Your worth is your output. This model produces income and destroys people. The burnout statistics bear this out. The sacral chakra, Svadhisthana, the seat of creative energy, desire, and flow, cannot sustain a pace of extraction without recovery. It is not built to be a machine. When you treat it like one, it shuts down, the creativity dries up, the motivation collapses. What's left is someone who made money but lost the thread of why they pursued it. The second narrative is the spiritual bypass. Money is the root of all evil. Wealthy people are corrupt. True spiritual progress means detachment from material things. This model produces peace and produces poverty. It also, if you look honestly, often produces a quiet resentment toward people who chose differently. Seneca dismissed both long ago. In his essay on the happy life, he wrote directly about those who criticized the wealthy. It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the man who hankers after more. The problem is not the having. It is the hankering that cannot be satisfied, the pursuit that never arrives anywhere, because the destination keeps moving. The moral trade-off is a myth. You do not have to choose between spiritual integrity and financial abundance. But you do have to choose the framework through which you build the second without losing the first. This video is about that framework. The Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra, is located just below the navel. In Sanskrit, it means one's own dwelling place. It is the energy center that governs creativity, desire, pleasure, emotional flow, and the generative force that initiates every act of creation, including the creation of wealth. When it is functioning well, you have access to genuine creative drive. Ideas arrive with energy behind them. You can initiate, sustain effort, and take pleasure in the process of building. You are not just grinding toward a goal, you are in flow with what you are creating. When it is overactive and unguided, that same energy becomes compulsion. The desire for more that cannot distinguish between what it actually needs and what the market is telling it to want. The creative force that burns through boundaries, relationships, and rest because it has no governor. The entrepreneur who builds a successful business and cannot stop even after the business no longer needs them. The Stoics called this state the domination of passion over reason. Not passion in the positive sense. Passion in the ancient sense, being seized by something, driven by it without choosing it. The sacral chakra, fully lit with no philosophical rudder, produces exactly this: enormous energy. No direction. The 4 cardinal virtues are the rudder. The 4 virtues as a wealth framework. The Stoics identified 4 virtues as foundational to the good life: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. They believed every other virtue flowed from these 4. Applied to wealth, they become the most practical financial framework you will find in ancient philosophy. Wisdom is the virtue of discernment. In the context of wealth, wisdom is the ability to distinguish between what you actually need and what the algorithm of 2026 says you should want. It is the capacity to evaluate an opportunity not just for its return, but for what building it requires of your character. Seneca wrote, "Vindica te tibi," reclaim yourself for yourself. Wisdom in wealth means knowing what you are building and who you are becoming in the process. Before you pursue an opportunity, wisdom asks, is this genuinely mine to do, or am I being moved by fear, comparison, or the anxiety of not keeping up? Justice is the virtue of right relationship. In the context of wealth, justice governs how you treat the people in every transaction you are part of. Your clients, your partners, your employees, your competitors, the people who buy what you create. Seneca wrote extensively about mutual benefit, the idea that lasting wealth is built on relationships where value moves in both directions. Justice asks, am I building this in a fair way? Am I giving what I am promising? Am I taking what I have genuinely earned? The person whose wealth is built on justice does not have to spend energy managing the consequences of exploitation, because there are none. Courage is the virtue of right action in the face of difficulty. In the context of wealth, courage is the willingness to pursue ethical abundance even when the shortcut is available. The deal that would make you money but compromise your integrity. The partnership that would accelerate growth but require you to be someone you are not. Courage says no to that shortcut, not because the money is not real, but because what it costs your character is more expensive. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." The courageous path to wealth is often harder in the short term and far more durable in the long term. Temperance is the virtue of self-governance. In the context of wealth, temperance is the capacity to pursue abundance without being controlled by the appetite for it. This is where the sacral chakra and the Stoic tradition converge most directly. Svadhisthana is the center of desire. Temperance is the discipline that ensures desire serves you rather than drives you. Temperance knows when enough is enough, not as limitation, but as freedom. The person governed by temperance is not building wealth to fill a hole. They are building wealth as an expression of something larger than themselves. The virtue alignment check. Before any significant financial decision, run it through 4 questions. Write the answers down. Wisdom. Do I genuinely understand what this opportunity is and what it requires of me? Or am I acting out of excitement, fear, or pressure? Justice. Is this arrangement fair to everyone involved? What am I giving and what am I taking? And do they balance? Courage. Is there a shortcut available here that I am being tempted to take? What does the longer, cleaner path look like? Temperance. If this succeeds beyond what I am planning, will I be able to hold it without it holding me? 4 questions, written down. That is the Stoic wealth audit. Run it before you commit. Run it when you are about to pivot. Run it when the desire for more is louder than the voice of discernment. That is sacral energy aligned with virtue. That is wealth built without losing the soul. If this synthesis is what you have been looking for, ancient Stoic wisdom applied to the real work of building an abundant, ethical life, subscribe to the Awakened Stoic. This channel doesn't choose between logic and spirituality, or between material success and inner peace. We use all of it. Every video goes deeper into what it actually looks like to build a life with the full range of ancient wisdom available to you. Hit subscribe and come back for the next one. Drop this in the comments. I will not choose between wealth and virtue. I will build one with the other. Seneca was rich, philosophical, and unapologetic about both. He understood something most people in both the spiritual and business communities miss. The goal was never poverty, and the goal was never wealth. The goal was the character strong enough to hold either without being destroyed by it. The sacral chakra is your creative engine. The 4 cardinal virtues are your guidance system. Together they produce something that neither hustle culture nor spiritual bypassing can offer. Prosperity that compounds without corroding. Get rich. Keep your soul. Build both with intention. The Awakened Stoic. Ancient discipline. Awakened energy.